Most of us are feeling better today after a beautiful and peaceful inauguration. The day reminded us of our democratic ideals and the potential we still have as a country. In this moment of afterglow, when we're feeling good, it might be a good time to take stock of our emotional resources. This morning, I want to talk about some of the ways we find solace in difficult times or shelter from the storm. Think of this as the spiritual equivalent of meeting with your financial planner. We're pretty cautious with our financial resources. None of us would drive a car without insurance. Health insurance is a defining issue of our time. Not having it is flirting with disaster. We pay for insurance, and as we're able, we invest into our retirement savings. With 25 years of career ahead of me, already the idea of having enough is creeping into the back of my mind. We know these are serious issues. Money is important. But money may not be enough to keep us afloat when push comes to shove. In this sermon, I'm going to talk about several resources for solace or shelter from the storm. These are some safety nets and emotional stores that we can put in place before things get rough. None of this is new, and you've certainly already faced your own challenges. So as you listen, keep in mind when things have gotten difficult in your life, where did you find comfort? What worked in the past? And where did you turn that ended up being a dead end? What worked and what didn't in the past? I'm glad that you made it through those hardships. There will be more challenges ahead. And as they say, if we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. The first place to go for shelter and emotional strength is the foundation for all the rest. It's a necessary starting point. It's your body. And it is difficult, if not impossible, to address emotional and spiritual needs if we haven't treated our bodies well first. And it's all that stuff that your mom told you or the nurse told you. They were right. Eat nutritious food, get plenty of sleep, preferably at night. Go outside and get some sunlight and fresh air. Exercise. You don't have to be an athlete, but our bodies were meant to move and bend. And, well, I have to say, take a bath. On a Sunday morning, this sounds silly to talk about, but in times of crisis, we become so fixated on the problem or the other person that we forget the very basic needs of our physical health. In a crisis, we have to take stock of the most basic physical maintenance of eating, sleeping, and even bathing. And the current crisis that we're facing together in COVID, it's probably good to take that inventory. There are lots of jokes about living in pajamas during social distancing, and comfort is fine. But being too comfortable can be a slippery slope into not taking care of ourselves. And speaking of caring for our bodies, it's a good idea to be cautious of substituting what we really need with something else. Alcohol, caffeine, sex, food, drugs, shopping, all can be used to avoid dealing with what we really need. And this isn't about shaming. I enjoy a glass of wine and I probably drink too much coffee. These are just things to keep an eye on, especially in challenging times. Unfortunately, for most of us, myself included, we turn to these crutches precisely at the moment when we should be taking better care of ourselves. Okay, now we get to talk about something a little more fun, beauty. Yes, beauty in its multitude of forms is a wonderful shelter from the storm. And it's okay to appreciate nice things and find joy in them. We just have to be thoughtful about what we mean by nice. Nice can mean things that are special because they were a gift, or things that you learn to create. Nice things might be objects of nature or delicious food that's sustainable. Nice things might give you a sense of connection to the earth or connection to other people. They might demonstrate craftsmanship or creative vision or hard work. Appreciating beautiful things doesn't make us greedy or materialistic if those things represent something more than wealth and power. It doesn't work quite the same way these days of social distancing, but in normal times, when I don't feel great in the morning, when I'm not ready to seize the day, I try to put on a shirt with a little more color in it. I'm no fashionista, but putting a little extra effort into how we look can brighten a day. It's amazing. Beauty isn't just about owning things either or consuming things. We might find solace in a museum or something outside or something that we give away as a gift to someone else. We don't have to own an object to find deep pleasure in it. More and more, I've learned that noticing beauty and paying attention to it is really a skill that we have to develop so that when things are rough, we can still notice the roses. It's not just comfort and beauty that are pleasures that are important. In a very different way, work can be a source of grounding. If we're lucky, our work can be an obvious opportunity to bring goodness into the world. But even in the most corporate settings, we usually work with others as a team. We can find pride in the goals that we accomplish. And providing service is an opportunity to put a smile on someone's face, which is a pretty wonderful thing. Work isn't always stuff we get paid for either. Some of you work hard at raising kids and managing a household, and many of you volunteer. I'm astounded at the amount of work, the volunteer work involved in keeping Tapestry running smoothly, especially when we meet together in person. After retiring, volunteering is a great way to continue that sense of meaning that work provides. Another option that's especially good after retirement is learning. Education gives a sense of accomplishment, very similar to work. That satisfaction is especially true when you learn about something that you care about. If I had the time, I might look into the ecology of Orange County or justice issues and how I, in my very particular social location, fit into that puzzle. If I had the time on my hands, I might invest it in learning some Spanish. Learning and volunteering and work all help us feel like we're contributing to the forward momentum of the world. When so much can feel out of control, work gives us a tangible sense of accomplishment. One step beyond the discipline of work and the accomplishment of a job well done is the joy of creativity. Creativity is related to work, and most artistic endeavors involve a great deal of effort. I realized this week creativity is really tough to define. And I decided that creativity arrives when we begin to find joy in what we're able to do with all that work. I enjoy singing choral music. I can follow a recipe. I can strum my ukulele along with a chord chart and sing along. I'm not a master of any of these, but I'm proficient enough to enjoy it. No one would pay me for these skills. They might pay me to stop, but they bring me joy. That's the lovely thing about creativity, is that it combines focus and joy. Focus draws us out of our challenge, and joy gets us over the hump to a new day. So, as you consider the role of creativity in your life, I encourage you to think broadly. I've learned to think of sermon writing as a part of my creativity. If you do any writing, that's creative. If you cook even a basic meal and you find joy in that cooking, that's a creative project. Gardening, I know a lot of you do fabric arts, music. I'm not a handy person at all, but I imagine coming up with creative solutions to mechanical problems or building fixes involves creativity. Making things, improving things, bringing beauty and utility and goodness into the world is good for the soul. Now, spirituality is a resource for shelter that I'm not going to talk much about, other than to say congratulations. You all have a leg up on this one. A lot of studies demonstrate that people who regularly participate in religious community live significantly longer. It's documented. There's no magic going on. There are just major psychological benefits to being in community. So congratulations. You already have one significant spiritual practice in your toolkit. There's a ridiculously long list of other spiritual practices you could add if you want, but you hear me talk enough about that. The other important resource for shelter from the storm that I want to mention very briefly, because we know it, is social networks. We are social creatures, and having a network of friends and family is vital to our well-being. For some people, this happens really easily and naturally. For others of us, it's a big project. You might think of the project in two different pieces. One is sustaining friendships that we already have, and the other piece is building new ones. On a very basic level, having people around us is fun. But at another level, it's serious business. It's important when things aren't going well to weave a network of community for support. The last source of solace that I want to mention is something that UUs pay a lot of lip service to, but we often forget when life is challenging. And that's nature. We are so blessed in Orange County with the beaches and the mountains and nearly perfect weather. I probably wouldn't have said that yesterday, but nearly perfect weather. Enjoying the solace of nature doesn't have to be a huge undertaking. You don't have to hike 100 miles or roll in the dirt or hunt your own food. It's just about being there to connect. It reminded me, you may have heard about this. There's a whole phenomenon in Japan called forest bathing. It's a matter of going to the forest just to spend time. It's not about exercise. It's simply being in nature, connecting with it through your sense of sight and hearing and taste and smell and touch. They recommend leaving your phone behind and leaving your camera behind, walking slowly without any particular goal or direction, just letting your body be your guide. Follow your nose and take your time. It's not quite as complete of an experience, but you can even experience nature from your car. I recently drove up the Ortega Highway to go for a hike and was reminded how beautiful that drive is, so close to us. Or just head down to Laguna Beach and sit on a beach and enjoy the ocean. This earth that we get to live on is absolutely amazing. It's a playground of delights. Go explore and connect, and let your soul be reminded you are home. As I was writing this sermon, I was reminded of Julie Andrews singing My Favorite Things. You know the song. I think it's popular because there's a grain of truth in it. When we face challenges, we do well to take inventory of all the wonderful things in life. The sermon is a bit of a list of wonderful things. Caring for our bodies, appreciating beauty, good work, creative expression, spirituality, social connection, and nature. These are indeed a few of my favorite things. Rather than picking a few and being done with it, I encourage you to think of this list more as a balanced diet. It's a good idea for our well-being to attend to all of them to some extent. I started this sermon with a financial metaphor, so I'll end with one. Diversified funds are a much safer investment. In the long run, they pay off better than sinking all your resources into just a few stocks. With the challenges and changes of life, any one of these sources of comfort may become difficult or temporarily eliminated. So diversify your investment in comfort and shelter from the storm. I'll give you that list again. As I do, listen for the ones that you already do out of habit, and listen for the ones that you shy away from, or the ones that seem like a chore. Caring for our bodies, appreciating beauty, good work, creative expression, spirituality, social connection, and nature. Before the dog bites or the bee stings, before we feel bad about the curveball that life has thrown us, let us stock up on the goodness of life to prepare for the journey ahead. Amen.